Charleston police officer Jonathan Donnelly has been diagnosed with stage 5 chronic kidney disease. And earlier today, the police department held a news conference to support and highlight Officer Donnelly and his family.
It was getting pushed to where you're just like, man, my luck was running out.
At the bottom, they had added a link to find out if you could be a donor. And so I thought maybe I can do more than just raise some money.
It was shocking. I had a better standing because of being diabetic since I was 10 years old. I kind of knew these things could happen, so the shock value wasn't there. It was bad for me, I guess. It was shocking for my wife because she was pregnant with our second child, so it was very difficult at that time. Puts different things in perspective. I mean, I got a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, or turning 3. My youngest daughter, I was sick already, so she didn't see me degrade that much, but my oldest daughter watched me degrade. I mean, I was able to play with her, run around with her all the time, to where I got moments where I was sick, that I was sleeping half the day and just couldn't do anything. And I feel bad for her because it tolls on her. She hates seeing me on machines and all that stuff. Yeah, she just hates that stuff. And it just bothers her. You just see it and she acts out a little bit from it, unfortunately. And that's the worst thing, but soon it will be over and then I'll be back to normal. And, I could be the dad that I wanted to be.
Honestly, I can't explain what led me to look into this. It just felt right. It felt like he was in need and that I could fulfill the need. I just felt very confident that I could do that for him and his family.
Deputy Chief Perry notified me that his wife was getting checked for, go through the testing and stuff like that, so I was very hopeful for that.
It's blood type, antigens, there's so much that has to line up. I'm really not even sure on what all gets tested, but I know a big part of being a donor is your personal health. So not only do you have to be a match for him, but you have to be healthy enough to be a donor. It was definitely a rush of emotions. It was the best news because we had just been hoping for that. That's why you go through the whole process, is just to hear those words. So that was a very rewarding moment. It felt like, everything that had led up to that was the exact right place and time for me, and it was perfect. So I was very happy because now I knew that his family, right after they call me, I know that they call him. So his family was going to get the news that day too.
I got the call in November from MUSC saying, hey, someone's come forward. They tested out and they are actually a perfect match for you. It changed everything, honestly, because at that moment we had a date when it was going to come to an end. And that was just a relief, a major relief. For my family and my wife, everybody, even for me,
I think that's humanity. That's why we're here, to help each other, to be kind, to be generous, to do what we can for one another. There's a lot that goes on where, it can be really negative. Like when you watch the news, you see a negative event that occurs and you might think like, oh, humanity, like there's no hope for us. But if you look, you see that one person who maybe did something very bad, and then there's 50 people who are there to help each other. And that's what I always say, look for the helpers, and that's what I want to be. I want to be a helper.
It's tough to, this person is willing to give up an organ of theirs. And, no one can predict the future. They don't know what kind of complications they may have 30 years down the road, and they're willing to give up an organ to save someone's life. That's pretty special. That's a very special person in our society to be able to do that. To anybody that has done that, that's a big thing. You have all my respect.
He has signed up police officers. They put their lives on the line for us, and he has done that already for the city that I love and live in. It just made it an easier decision because that's what he wants to get back to, is protecting my community.
This is a very selfish act, and I'm just proud of her. And often first responders get a lot of attention for being heroes, but here we have my wife being a hero and helping a first responder, so it means a lot.
So I told her yesterday I hugged her. I said, you're giving me a second chance, which it is. It's giving me a second chance at life because I need to work and to live. I can only live so long on dialysis. But I'm just, I'm not going to take things for granted anymore. It's going to have, we'll have probably a different outlook on life going after this procedure, but definitely looking forward to when I wake up and seeing how I feel, especially with a living organ. The results are immediate. So just looking forward to getting back to normal life, being able to play with my kids, get back to work. A lot of things that you take for granted when you're not sick. So
I'm proud, but I'm mostly just honored to be a part of his story of getting back to being the dad that his girls, deserve and need. So he's going to be able to do that, be a better partner for his wife again, and like I said, get back to fulfilling his desire to be a police officer. That is exactly why I'm doing this right now, is to hopefully inspire people to just give of their time, of their resources if they can, just to give to each other and inspire people to just be a little bit better to each other every day.
I would say that if you are a person with kidney disease, just don't be afraid to be open about it. Let people know. You'd be surprised that one person you tell might go get tested and it might end your pain and suffering.